What is going on, interwebs? Thank you for joining me tonight for It's Not About the Cells, Power Pivot to the People. This should be a pretty good one. Kind of thinking about where the application is, where it's going, kind of with Power Query, Power Pivot, data relationships, models, DAX, all this crazy stuff.
What is going on, interwebs?
Where do you kind of start?
Thank you.
There we go. Let me go ahead and mute that. And just kind of
going on, interwebs?
there we go. Turn that back off. Let's get that out of here. Make sure I'm not looping here. Oh, it's an endless loop. All right, should be good there. Let me make sure we are good before we start here. Oh, fantastic. Much better. All right, a little bit about me before we begin. My name is Alex Powers, if you're not familiar with me. I'm trainer, developer, 4th grade spelling bee champion, Microsoft Office specialist in Excel 2010 and Access 2013, Microsoft Office expert in Excel 2010 and Excel 2013. One moment here while I work in this loop. YouTube is strange. Let me make sure I get this here. It's the first time doing it over on YouTube. Facebook is not as delayed. There we go. All right, so there's 2 windows in YouTube, one for preview and then one for public. So I'm really just hearing myself about 3 different times. Should be good. I'm taking these headphones off. They're ridiculous. All right, so a little bit about me. Microsoft Office Specialist, Excel 2010, Access 2013. Office Expert in Excel 2010 and Excel 2013. A Microsoft Certified Professional in MCSA BI reporting. I have passed the Excel portion. I'm about 50% of the way there. Once I get the Power BI done, I will be a full-on Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate. I'm also the organizer of the St. Louis Modern Excel and Power BI User Group. You can go ahead and find us here in the area. Tortured author of the website It's Not About the Cell.com, where I really just like writing long, drawn-out articles about weird Excel things that I find interesting. Husband, my wife is a rock star. I had met her on Craigslist. If you'd like to know more, just feel free to ask in the comments there. And I'm also a proud cat dad to 2 little furry ones, Elise Dior and Ivan the Terrible. Ivan is a girl, if you did not know. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into our setup. If you did not already have Excel open, go ahead and pull that up now. First things first, we want to do is go up to our File tab here. We're going to go down to Options. We want to go to our add-ins, and then here we want to change from Excel add-ins to COM add-ins. Press go, and then you should see Microsoft Office Power Pivot for Excel. You can go ahead and press that checkbox here, and then you can go ahead and hit OK. From there, you'll see the new tab that's been added to your ribbon. You can also see that it's within your data tab here, Manage Data Model. So maybe if you haven't already enabled it, kind of show you here is a little shortcut here, so let me turn this off now. Microsoft Office Power Pivot, you can just go to the Data tab, press Manage Data Model, and it will prompt you to enable this add-in. So go ahead and press Enable. Oh, fantastic. Our Power Pivot tab now open. All right, so if you have not already done so, go ahead and download the accompanying files They are located just here underneath the link. I'm gonna go and pull that up now. Just here on my desktop. Take me to the desktop, please. Awesome. So now I have the zip file. I'm gonna go ahead and do just a file extract too. Just go ahead and throw these on my desktop here just for make it a little bit easier on myself. Just kind of talk through it here. So we've got 3 different files now. So first things first, let's go ahead and open up the Power Pivot Relationships file. So I'm just gonna go to my file, home, go to my desktop, browse, and go to the Power Pivot folder. Power Pivot Relationships.xlsx. Let's go ahead and open that up. Awesome. So we now have 3 tables, and we want to add these to our data model. So if we go to Power Pivot tab and just clicking within the boundaries of the first table, sales data, we can simply press Add to Data Model. And this will pop open Power Pivot for us. We now see that the sales data has been added. And if we look down here, let me go ahead and resize this here just a little bit for us so you can see it on the stream. Sales data down here in the tab. And zoom, there we go. Awesome. So we go ahead and zoom out a little bit. I'm just gonna minimize this, go back to our worksheet, press Add to Data Model with customer data. Fantastic. And then we're gonna do that one more time here with product data. So I'm just minimizing. The data model is still running in the background. If you're familiar with Visual Basic, it's kind of the same. So add to data model here, product data. And now I want to, within Power Pivot in the Home tab, we're gonna go to Diagram View. This might look a little bit interesting if you're coming from the Excel game. If you're within Microsoft Access, this definitely feels a little bit more familiar. So in this we have kind of our facts table here with sales data, and then we have 2 dimension tables. So we can create relationships here between fields now in Excel. So in our sales data, we have product code, and in product data, we have product code. Let's go ahead and drag this one, product code, and sales data over to product data, product code. We now created a relationship here. So we have our 1, and then flows down to our many, so our asterisk. And let's do this now for customer key. So sales data, customer data. I'm going to go ahead and grab this field, drag it over to customer data, customer key. Go ahead and drop that in right there. Fantastic. We now have 1, flows down to our many. Power Pivot supports a many to one. I'm sorry, a one to many, or a one-to-one relationship within the data model. So if we go back to data view, we can kind of see here our sales data. We have our customer key, which is just the numbers 1 through 19. If we look at our customer data, we have 1 through 20. So the 20th item, as far as the customer key, he has not made a purchase as of yet within the sales. So let's go ahead and create a let's just go ahead and create a pivot table here. So within the Home tab, go back to that. We're going to go to Pivot Table, and we're going to select Pivot Table here in the Home tab. Just a new worksheet is fine. Fantastic. Now let's go ahead and drag our customer name down to rows, and then also product description. So a second table. Fantastic. So we have our customer name, our product description. And in our values, we're going to take sales data. We're going to go ahead and drag sales amount, and then units sold. Awesome. Go ahead and right click this, just a name. I'm going to do a subtotal customer name. Just go ahead and bring that in here. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to see our 20th guy here who did not have a sale. So let me go ahead and turn that off. Kobe Hernandez is not to be found in this. So we do a Kobe, nowhere to be found. But if he makes that purchase, so in the sales data, I'm just now add 20 here for his record. Oh. We go 20. And then product code, I'm just going to go ahead and enter in number 4. Why not? Sales amount, let's do 75,436.45. Then units sold 10. If we go back to our pivot table, we can now do it just a refresh here. So we can right click, go to our analyze, refresh. Kind of a standard pivot table reactions. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a refresh, and we should now see that Kobe's name has been pulled in. Kobe Hernandez sold one mop for $75,436. I'm sorry, $436.45. Oh, we don't want to lose that. Just like that, though, if you have the tables and the relationships created, as your model continues to grow, it will pull in and create those relationships between the different tables. Kind of going back here to our diagram view, we see here that the codes here, which was 1 through 20 for our customer key, feeds into the customer key over here, our customer data, and then it returns the name for that associated row. So anywhere with customer key of 20 will return that Kobe Hernandez. So think coming from a VLOOKUP or index match world, no longer needed. Start thinking about relationships between your data. If you do not like kind of working with the visual, or maybe it's just a little bit more time consuming, you can go to the data tab and then you can select relationships. From here, you can also see that the relationships have been created. So our primary table, which will be our sales data, our key, which is customer key, and then our related table, which is that customer data, which has all the unique records, 1 through 20, and then the primary key, which is our customer key. Kind of a couple different ways to kind of approach relationships within the data model. Oh, fantastic. Next up, let's talk about data sources. So from here, I want to create a new workbook. So I'm just going to go ahead and close out of this. So Control W, don't save. Control N, we've already got a new one here, so we're good there. So let's go to our data model here under Manage. So either Power Pivot tab, or you can use the Data tab, Manage Data Model. And then we're going to select From Other Sources. And then we want to scroll down and select just from a text file. Press Next. Our file path, we're just going to go ahead and browse here. And on the desktop, once again, our Power Pivot folder, if you've already kind of extracted it, City of Seattle Wages Comparison. Let's go ahead and press OK to open that. And we can now see that our fields have been brought in. And then we can select Use First Row as column headers to go ahead and promote those. Fantastic. So now see ID, job title, female hourly, and male hourly rates. All right, for this one, we want to only bring in the first 30 records. So if we look here, 1 through 67 is what we have. So what we want to do is between. So we're just going to click the filter on that field. Number filters between 1 and 30. Awesome. If we now look at this, 1 through 30 is all that's going to bring in. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger here for us just so we can kind of see. Oh, excuse me. Now I'm going to go ahead and press Finish. So we can filter our data prior to importing it to our model. I'm now going to press Close. And then we're going to do From Other Sources once again. And then this time we're going to scroll to the bottom and we're going to select an Excel file. Do Browse. And now we're going to do the City of Seattle Classifications file. Use First Row as column headers. We can go ahead and test our connection just to make sure it's good. Advanced, if you actually wanted to kind of get into some of the connection string properties for the ODBC. Not needed for this presentation, way too weird and nerdy. And let's go ahead and press next. We can preview and filter. It's showing that range. So it's going to either be a table object or it can be a named range that would import. So I'm going to do a preview and filter here. Just go and take a look at our data. If you expand that, you can see all the different classification IDs and the job classification itself. So let's go ahead and press OK. Let's press Finish. It's done importing. So we now have our two tables here within our data model. City of Seattle classification. Whew, that is a tongue twister, if I was to be 100% honest. And then we have City of Seattle wages comparison. So looking here, we have job title and we have job classification. Well, they're not called the same, but they maintain the same information. So accountant, principal, accountant senior, principal senior. Classification is just accountant, account executive. So the fields themselves do not need to be titled the same to create a relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Now I'm going to use the data relationships. And we're going to do a new. So in this one, we're going to use City of Seattle wages comparison. And our column foreign is going to be our job title. And then our related table is going to be the data model City of Seattle classification. And that's going to be job classification. Press OK. Relationship is now active. If we wanted to go ahead and go back to just kind of a visual representation, we can go to diagram view. And we can see that a relationship has now been created. So we have our one to our many. So it has to flow down. It's kind of looking at this visually here. One flows down to our many to apply that relationship. All right, now it's time for a little bit of DAX. So we are going to create just kind of an average of the female hourly rate and then an average of the male hourly rate. So within our data model, I'm going to select the female hourly rate column. And in the Home tab, I'm going to go over the calculation section. I'm going to switch this from auto sum to just average. Now see here down in our calculation area, average of female hourly rate has been created. Do the same here for male hourly rate. Select the column, auto sum, select the drop down, average. Average of male hourly rate has been created. And let's go ahead now and build a pivot table off our data model. So I'm going to select the pivot table here on the Home tab of the Power Pivot and new worksheet, completely fine. Actually, let's do existing. We already have it right here. Cell selector, just B2, press OK. So we drop job classification. Actually, we do not want that. We want classification ID. We want our data to get smaller, more condensed here, just when we start looking at aggregation. So average female hourly rate, average male. Kind of look at the comparisons between the two. And kind of looking at some of the jobs here. So administration, females on average $32.61, where males are making $17.11. Kind of administrative staff, once again, $33,225 versus $32.74. If we actually wanted to apply formatting before we load this into a pivot table, we can go back to either our measures here, we can do our manage in the Power Pivot, or we can go to our data model here. So I'm going to just select this kind of current one. So average female hourly. I'm going to select number, and let's do a decimal number. 2 decimal places what we want that to kind of be set at. And then average male, once again, edit. We can check our formula, no errors exist. and then decimal number rounded to 2 decimal places. Go ahead and press OK. We now see that our pivot table's formatting has been updated instantly. All right, let's go ahead and start talking about that whole DAX thing. What is DAX? DAX is the data analysis expressions. Kind of getting a little bit more higher concept now. It is applying aggregate functions to your data. So thinking of sums, averages, counted, or count us. You can also start getting into weird things like time intelligence series here with Power Pivots. You can do same period last year, total month to date, total quarter to date, total year to date with your measurements. So calculate, filter, divide. Yes, divide is now a function which ignores 0 values, which is fantastic. So let's get into that a little bit more here. And let's modify just kind of our existing measures. And then we're going to add the divide function we just talked about. So jumping back in here, I want to edit our current DAX measurements. Average of female hourly rate colon equals. So it's the name of our measurement and then a colon that separates kind of the calculation engine. So I'm going to change this to female hourly rate, still over a colon. And instead of average, I'm going to do a sum. So let's go ahead and type in sum there. Oh. Let me change that to total female hourly rate. Oh, fantastic. Total female hourly rate. Then we're going to change this to total male hourly rate. So instead of average, just go and type this out. Let's do it all. Total male hourly rate colon equals sum, and then it's by column. So this is going to be just male hourly rate. So we can have our table name and then our field name. Press tab and then close parenthesis to kind of complete here. Press enter, complete that measurement. And then we want to create a DAX expression here. So we're going to do just kind of average. So we're going to do I'm just kind of reading my handwriting here. All right, there we go. Difference between female to male. It's going to be the name of our measurement. Colon equals divide. And then we want to do a square bracket. And then we can see here that our measurements now exist that we can recall. So total female hourly rate, I'm going to go ahead and press tab. That's our numerator, comma, denominator, square bracket, total male hourly rate. And then we're going to do -1, so from 100. And up here in formatting, I can just go ahead and press the percentage format to have that applied. And then if we go ahead and press X on this, go back to our Excel worksheet, we'll now see that our measurement exists, difference between female to male. Oh, fantastic. And if we go ahead and drop in the job classification, we just kind of see that these ones did not get included because we had that filter on previously. If you remember, we only brought in the first 30 rows. To change that, let's go to our Power Pivot Manage. We can do existing connections. That was our text, City of Seattle wages comparisons. We can do edit. And then our field 1. Oh, actually, let me do this right here. It's the Design tab, Table Properties. There we go. Now we're going to query the filter, clear filter from ID. Press save. Bringing all that data back. We should have a lot healthier looking pivot table now with all the information filled out. So kind of on average in Seattle, female hourly rate is about 17.89% less than a male. Just kind of looking within different industries. All right. That is DAX, the Data Analysis Expression Language. KPIs. We've always heard this term, the key performance indicator. Within Power Pivot, this is fantastic. You can create very complex KPIs if you'd like. You can also create very simple ones. Kind of think of it as conditional formatting, but plus 100. So jumping back to our Excel spreadsheet here, difference between female and male. Power Pivot tab, we see our KPIs. So I'm going to click this button. I'm going to click New KPI. And then we're going to go ahead and use this one here, KPI based off of the value. So difference between female to male. That's the field I'm going to select. Now I'm going to select an absolute value. We're just going to do 1, so kind of looking at 100%. And then our red value is anything that is less than 20% difference. So I'm going to do negative 0.2. And then we're going to say anything that is equal, so just anything at 0, we want to show green. So if they're making at an equal to male or above, that is kind of a good sign here. We can choose the different select icon styles, so red, yellow, green, kind of X's, exclamation greens, kind of whatever your choice. I'm just going to go ahead and select this second one here. Why not? We're going to press OK. If we looked at that here, well, what in the world, man? I thought you said that we were going to see red, yellow, and green. Well, we are. It's just kind of the way that it gets added here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this now. So the difference between female and a male. Just go ahead and pull that up. And then I'm going to drop that back in. So once you drop that back in, it then turns into icons. Then you can see green, yellow, red. Just kind of looking at the difference here. So if they were making at or above, it should be a green mark. Yellow, kind of they're still within an acceptable tolerance of less than 20%. And then anything that's definitely red, kind of less than 100 here. But I mean, that's just because there's not enough data for females kind of within that job role. Oh, fantastic. So 0.61. Awesome. Not seeing information that's too far out there here. Thank God. Good job, Seattle. You guys are doing something right out there. All right. Let's go ahead and decompress for a moment here, if you don't mind. We've been doing a lot. This might come across as very new to some people. Really, where to begin? I would always say look at your data and see what information you kind of pull out. So it's those unique values. Instead of writing, an employee's name 1,000 times in your records, why not just assign it an ID number? So instead of, I don't know, Tony Clifton, think of how many characters and how much memory it costs to spell the word T-O-N-Y space C-L-I-F-T-O-N each time. And imagine he has, I don't know, 500,000 records. That is a lot of memory to kind of consume. What if you just put the number 8 next to his name? And any time that you saw the number 8, you would look up to the next table, you'd be able to reference, 8 equals Tony Clifton. That's kind of an Andy Kaufman reference if people are kind of familiar with Tony Clifton, but that's how you need to start thinking about your data. How can you extract the unique values to get it into a compressed state? Power Pivot and kind of its strength lies in the ability to compress large amounts of information. The Vertipack engine itself offers about 60 to 80% compression over your information. Handling millions of pound records of information in Excel is no longer a dream. It is now possible. 1,000% possible. I do it daily. It's not that difficult, not that time consuming in terms of your memory consumption. With that amount of compression, you can aggregate so that sum, count, average, divide, whatever you can kind of think about with your totals and your data, it can now handle very easily. It's kind of moving on a little bit. We're going to jump back into some DAX. You know, let's just get to it. I'm going to go ahead and do Control W on this one. Let's kind of close it down. We're going to do a Control N for just a brand new workbook. If you did not already receive the data file, go ahead and pull that up now. It should just be called like Power Pivot Final. I'll kind of give you a moment to kind of look through your information and find that. Oh, I mean, it's got to be in there somewhere, right? Just like no way I wouldn't send that information to you. Well, that's weird because I didn't send anything to you. We're going to create all of this data by ourselves using Power Query M, and then we're going to feed that into our Power Pivot data model. So if you have Power Query, go ahead and use that tab now. If you're on 2016 or Office 365, go to your data tab. I'm just going to do a new query from other sources, blank query. Oh, awesome. Up here in our formula bar, if you've not already enabled this, go ahead and do so now. So in your View tab, formula bar, go ahead and turn that on. Power Query M it's awesome. Hopefully you guys are going to dig it here too. We're going to create our own data set. So first things first, let's just go ahead and type in 1/1/2018. Let's just do current year here. So I typed it in, return to date time. I'm not going to press the add step, so I'm going to press the FX button here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. What I would like is to return a list of dates. So I'm going to do list, so capital L, lowercase ist. Go ahead and zoom in on that here for you. List, period, dates, open parenthesis. My starting point is going to be our source. So that was the previous step here, if you remember that. So source over here is the name. Do a comma. I'm going to say, give me a number, period, from. And now I'm going to do date, time. So capital D, capital T, period, date, capital D, open parenthesis, date, time, once again, so capital D, capital T, period, local, now, capital L, capital N, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, minus, source, close parenthesis. There's a lot of steps here, isn't there? Comma, duration, and then the duration arguments are 1 for day, 0 for hours, 0 for minutes, 0 for seconds. Close parenthesis, close parenthesis. Let me go and zoom out here. There we have it. We now have a list of dates between January 1st, 2018, all the way down to March 21st, 2018. So as of previous date. Local now, if you kind of look at that here, so I'm just going to go and do an FX. You can see, oh, there we go. That returns the current system time and just a UTC value. So just go ahead and remove that step. Our custom one, I'm going to go ahead and click on transform up here. And we're now going to convert this to a table. All right, we have no delimiters. We're not going to really have any errors. And then let's go and double click this column one. Let's just call this date. And let's make sure our information here is cleaned up and looking good. So instead of custom one, I'm going to create, just right click and rename this. I'm going to call it a custom list, dates, convert to table, rename columns, rename date. Awesome. Now, I'm going to do add column, custom column. So let's call this unit price, And I want to say I want a number, so capital N, UMBER, period, rounded, so ROUND, open parenthesis, number, period, random, capital N and capital R. So you'll kind of notice a pattern here with Power Query M. Any new words begins with a capital letter. So number, period, random times 10,000. And then I want to round that 2 decimal places. There we go. No syntax errors have been detected. Press OK. We zoom back out. We now see that we have our unit price. So from the first date all the way down to the end, just random values. I can go to home, I can press refresh preview. Keeps returning random values. I'm going to go ahead and right click this and I'm going to apply a change type to currency. And what happened? What happened? All of my numbers return the exact same result, 6,543.49. Well, we didn't store it in memory. So we need to add another step at this point. So we're going to do add step here. Press that. So our previous step is called added custom, which you'll notice appear. Anything with a space in our steps returns a hashtag quotation. So I'm now going to say table. That's what we have. Table, period, buffer, BUFFER, open parentheses, close parentheses. And just like that, we told the Power Query engine in the editor here to store those values in memory with the buffer kind of command here. So let's go back here, added custom. Let's rename this custom unit price. We're going to rename this custom 1 to buffer unit price. Awesome. All right, another custom column. We call this units sold. Now we're going to do number, period, round again. We're going to do number dot random between. So I want to say numbers between 1 and 10. 0 decimal places once again, so comma 0. No syntax errors have been detected. Press OK. Now scroll here. Units sold 1 through 10. We can now kind of see her within our list. Once again, right click, change type, whole number. It applies the same thing. So the table buffer from before did not apply to steps afterwards. So let's go ahead and delete change type. Kind of do this again. So we're going to add step. Added custom here. We're going to do a table, period, buffer, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and now it's been retained in memory. So going back here, clean this up. I'm going to do custom units sold. Custom 1, I'm going to call this buffer units sold. Oh, fantastic. And we're going to call this one region. We're getting pretty good at this. Number, period, round. Actually, no. Let me show you a number dot random between 1 and 4. North, south, east, west. We're going to have 4 different values. 1 and 4. Oh, are you kidding me? Number dot random between returns a decimal number. That's why we've been applying that number dot round. So kind of going back here to our settings on this added custom step. I'm just going to create a nested function here. So number, period, round, comma 0. No decimal places. No, thank you, sir. We have 1 through 4. If you remember to this point, table.buffer. Anytime we have this random data. So table, period, buffer, open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Oh, get a little click happy there. Awesome. So create added custom. Let's rename this custom region. buffer region. And then let's do one more here if you don't mind. Custom column. And we're going to call this one item number.round. We know we do not want those decimal places. And we're going to do number period random, so capital R, between, let's do 1 and 6, comma 0, no decimal places, so number.round, number.random, between 1 and 6. Back out of that. Now we have items 1 through 6, but we remember we need to go ahead and create that buffer here. So I'm going to create that table period buffer. Tell the Power Query Editor retain that change in memory. So now we're going to do buffer item. Woo! It's a lot for some data here, isn't it? Now let's go to our transform tab. We're going to select detect data type here, just within our options. And we will see what it comes up with. Oh, it didn't do that good of a job. What in the world? Wasn't even close. Detect date type. There we go. There we go. Select all of them at once and it'll apply. Unit price, though, is not accurate. We do not want decimal number. We want to do that as currency. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. Yep, replace current. Unit sold is fine. Region is fine. Item is fine. So here in our query 1, let's go ahead and call this facts sales or fact sales. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on the queries here on the left. Right-click, new query, other sources, blank query. All right, so some things that we need to kind of start thinking about. We need our region, so north, south, east, west. So we would like to create a table. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of zoom in up here. We're going to do equals hashtag table, so lowercase table. I know it's a little bit counterintuitive because I've been telling you capital and everything. So squiggly, first things first, we're going to call our ID column. Then we're going to call it region. Close squiggly, comma. So this will be our first column's header and our second column's header. Now we need 4 individual rows. So I'm going to do a squiggly and another squiggly. So our first row is going to be item number 1, comma, north, in quotations, close squiggly, open squiggly again, 2, south, because it's text quotations, comma, squiggly, 3, east, squiggly, close, comma, open, 4, quotations for text, close squiggly, enter. Oh, just like that. We have created our own table without any data here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up just the notepad, kind of show you what this looks like. So let's copy this code here if you don't mind. So kind of looking at Power Query M, what we are doing is we're creating just kind of these individual arrays here. So I'm going to break this out, make it look a little bit easier on the eyes, because maybe it'll just look crazy up in that formula bar. There we go. To be honest with you, it kind of looks like CSS, right? Looks a little CSS-y. So here we go. We have our field names, which is going to be within our first squiggly, so our first array that has been created. ID, as we can see over here, ID, and then region. And then we have our open squiggly for all of the rows that are contained within. So our first row, our open squiggly to close squiggly, or curly, I mean, however you decide. Squiggly or curly, you tell me. So we have our open and our close. So our first row, our second row, our third row, and then our fourth row. And then our closed to our open here within our rows, and then just our closed parentheses. So I can go ahead and copy this even. I wish we could tab here up in the Power Query editor, but we cannot. So if I paste that, it looks a little bit easier to read and understand, doesn't it? I think so. Maybe that's something we can kind of do the user voice for, try and get back in the future. So we now have our table. Just go ahead and select these both. Transform, detect data type. 1, 2, 3 is a number, so make sure that that's a whole number. Then we have our region. Something that I also enjoy doing in terms of optimizing Power Query M is I like looking at the data type that has been applied. So our ID is only numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. We do not need a 64-bit integer for that. So if you look here at the Power Query M, ID, data type is int64.type. I'm going to go ahead and change that to just an 8-bit. Nothing broke. We're completely fine. int8.type. Less memory, better optimization. So let's go ahead and call this one dim regions. Oh, fantastic. And we need items. We need to create 6 items. Kind of looking back here at our steps. Let's just go ahead and create a new one here. So right click, new query, other sources, blank query. If you remember, shoot, why not? We already have it over here. So we have our ID, and then we have our items. Let's go do that here. It's kind of editing this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead and copy this row. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoot, if I was to drop that in right now. There, you can see that I made a table. But I want to go ahead and edit it here. So our first item, let's just go ahead and call it crayons. Our second item, let's go ahead and call it balloons. I think that's right. Balloons? Balloons. You guys have to correct me if I'm wrong. This one will be basketball. Baseball. Let's just call this one lighters. Maybe we'll do this one as dog food. Why not? Change 3, 4, 5, 6 different items with our lookup. Go and paste that. We now have IDs 1 through 6 with items 1 through 6. Transform, detect data type, detects the text, detects number. Still looking here. int64.type. I do not want int8.type. Much better. So we're going to call this dim items. Go ahead and close that. And let's do a close and load now. Only create connection. Add this to the data model. So when we start working with Power Query, it is completely integrated with the Power Pivot data model. It's fantastic to use in combination with each other. Go ahead and press load. And if we look here, as these are loading, we've loaded 80 rows, and then our 4 rows here with the 2 dim tables. Go to our Power Pivot, manage. We now see that this information has been loaded to our data model. Relationships, though, have not been created. So let's go ahead and do that here. So we have our fact sales, our dim regions, then our dim items. So we can do our region here. So region, we do that to ID. If remember, they were numbers within the fact sales table. So 1 to 1. And then if we do over here, items to ID. So we have our 1 to our many. So looking here at our asterisk, go back here. So our 1, if you hover above, it'll show you which fields have been kind of joined here within the relationship. So our 1 flows down, pointed arrow to our many. So if you double click this, you can see that the relationship is active. You can only have 1 active relationship between a table at any given point in time. Going back here to our data view now, we see our information here. our units sold and our dates. If we wanted to apply custom formatting here, because we do not have a time series to this, we can just go over here, format 3/14/2001, just like that. Awesome. All right. Let's start building. Not yet. Not yet. I don't think 80 rows is enough. I don't think I've shown you the true power of Power Pivot until I've shown you how many rows we potentially load in. Just right now. We built all this data just using Power Query and you're just kind of using the Power Pivot data model to manage it. So let's go back up to our source here in Power Query. So fact sales source. I'm going to change it from 1/1/2018 to maybe 1/1/0001. Let's take it back a little bit if you don't mind. We're going real far back on this one. I'm excited though, because once you've seen the true power, you'll be like, wow, Power Query M is awesome, Power Pivot is awesome, all these new BI tools are awesome. Why am I still fighting tooth and nail over index match and VLOOKUP? All that's dead. Relationships. All about the relationship game now. All right, fantastic. I'm going to do just close and load. So we have our 80 rows. It's loading data right now. Still going. How many records is this thing going to load? Going all the way back to the beginning of time, it feels like. Tick, 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 tick. It's creating a lot of records for us here, guys. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I just thought create over 100,000, 180,000. It's getting up there. Still going. 430,000, 460,000. Oh, all of this, just a little bit of Power Query M that we wrote is being created. All of this random data. I know somebody asked for something over 50,000 records. We just ended up at 736,000, 774,000 rows. Kind of looking at that here. Spreadsheet still moves fine. Not slow at all. Go to our Power Pivot data model here. Oh. What's going on? Well, give me one moment here. Let me save this to the desktop real quick. Just do model Power Query M random data. I think my computer's hating me. Just set this one moment. What in the world is that even talking about? All right, so let's try and open this again here. Power Query M random data. Enable content. All of our data is still stored here, just within the model. You see it's all been loaded. Power Pivot, manage. Oh, no. Let me close out of Excel completely. Let's go and open it back up. I feel like I'm on the SS Enterprise here with all of the windows and things I have going on. Yep. Manage data model. Man, Excel. Really not winning too many fans here. Also disabled my Inquire tab. I say we kill it completely. Alt F4. let's go and open up Task Manager. Let's see what is going on behind the scenes here. Well, no Excel. Man, making a tough sale here for you guys with Microsoft here on this one. Let's open it back up. All right, Microsoft Excel add-ins, com add-ins, Inquire. Let's turn everything off. Let's turn it back on. There we go. So there's Power Pivot working again. Power Query M, random data. Open it back up. Power Pivot. Manage. Oh, fantastic. That was embarrassing, Microsoft. That was definitely embarrassing for Microsoft. Oh, awesome. All right, so we now have our information loaded. 736,000 records. Still fast. I have no idea what was going on with that crash. You know, you got to roll with the punches, though. That's what we're here to do, roll with the punches. So to close out of that one, go back here to our Power Pivot, our Manage. Check out our diagram view. Relationships have been created between the two. And then what we would like to do now is create some custom measurements. We've kind of shown you here just using the calculation area. So we did unit price. We can click on that column. We can click on auto sum or sum. What in the world is going on? Man, it's hating life right now. All right, let's try closing out this one more time. Complete out. And it is struggling. We may have to call it if we broke the program, guys. This is great though. Yeah, all of the tabs are now missing again. It really feels like I'm gonna have to do a repair. Power Pivot. Let's do an open Power Query M, random data. Let's do a refresh just on our queries. Let's just remove them from the data model right now. Yep, remove. Remove. I'm just right-clicking these tables, changing the load to properties from the add this to the data model. And I'm going to go ahead and reload that back now. So I'm going to right-click, add this data to the data model. Hopefully, maybe it was just a corrupted model, because I do not feel like repairing my Office product. All right, we'll give that a second here. And troubleshooting at its finest. I'm excited though. We got a couple more DAX measures here that we're going to write out and hopefully get you guys out of here. I know we're kind of approaching that hour here, so definitely appreciate those who have kind of tuned in, and anybody who's kind of tuning in after the fact kind of watch these. I would say definitely in combination with Power Query and Power Pivot, any type of like manual processes or calculations or helper columns or weird things like that I've really eliminated here within the past, I would say like 8 months, kind of in development of new reports. I really find that the new tools are just, yep, Office repair, just like that. That's where the stream ends. That's where it dies. How could they? I gotta zoom in on that. Zoom in. That's on you, Power Pivot. But kind of get back to it. in terms of the data model and also just the new BI tools, incredibly powerful. Once you start getting good with this or getting used to this, the jump to Power BI, which is kind of the next service, is not that far off. A lot of what you build in Excel can honestly be imported into Power BI directly, and then you can also export these models from Power BI. Start considering what you can do now in Excel, how you can leverage the new BI tools, and then start thinking about the next path in your career. Any questions, comments, or if you think that I'm crazy, go ahead and feel free to leave me just some notes here in the comments window. Greatly appreciate once again everybody kind of tuning out here tonight. Apologize for the issues. If you've never done an office repair, that's always fun. So add or remove programs. I guess that's the addition to the stream. So this list, Microsoft Office. Click on this. You can do a modify. Onward and repair, as opposed to a quick repair. I guess I just got to do it. Just got to do it. I'll close out some of my Office products here. If you're kind of interested more in the data modeling, people that I'd recommend checking out, Marco Russo and Alberto kind of Ferrari. Fantastic. A website I'd recommend for kind of writing DAX and kind of making it look pretty is the DAXformatter.com. So kind of talking about those guys, SQLBI.com is their web address. Fantastic materials. Kind of within the Power Query space, always recommend Excel's on Fire with Oz du Soleil. And then also Ken Pulls. They're doing fantastic things within that space, kind of pushing the boundaries of what is possible, and also getting people to start thinking about different ways to approach their information. If you'd like a really good course, kind of getting into that data model world, Excel.tv just released a new data model webinar and a new course. So Excel.tv, great guys over there, really fantastic work. Sylvia kind of put this one together. I said it in the webinar, really good, great stuff. Kind of things that I've shown you tonight. Hopefully things that don't break. So let's close out of all of this. Apparently in the background. Yep. Closing apps, repairing. Cannot quit Excel. I don't even see Excel. Just told me. Oh man. I just want to kill that. There it is. Hidden in the background. That was probably it the entire time. Steps 1 through 4, repairing. So Excel TV, kind of looking at their course. Power Pivot Pro, some really good stuff from those guys as well. Rob Kelly and some of their authors. Those are really who I've kind of been concentrating on here within maybe like the last 6 to 8 months. So just a lot of radio silence, which kind of hope to take this new learning and the new opportunities and really just kind of show you the benefits. Maybe some things that are way over your head, but you know what? In my opinion, Excel is not about what you know. It's about what you know is possible. That has always been my mantra. So maybe you saw it today. You're like, holy crap, I had no idea you could do that. Well, now you do. Maybe you don't know how to do it, or maybe you got to watch the video like 100 times because I went too fast for you. But you've seen it. You know it's possible. And really that with Excel, that is 100% what it is about. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here with my office repair going in the background. Thanks again, everyone. I will see you soon.